Hi everyone, and welcome back to Creative Chelsea. Today I have another alternative project using the February 2020 Paper Pumpkin Kit, Lovely Day. So if Paper Pumpkin is new to you, it is a subscription craft kit. And every month you get all the supplies you need to make a new card or craft. This month's kit included 9 cards in 3 different designs. What I like to do is take those cards and the elements that come in the kit and change them and create my own cards. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Today we're going to be focusing on this card here. I really love the colors and the layout, but we're just changing it slightly so that we can get 2 cards out of 1. So this is the design that I came up with that's very similar to the original design. And then this is the card that I created using some of the other elements from the kit. So let's go ahead and get started with this card. So the original card is really cute and it actually has a fun fold. So when you fold it, you have this little notch that goes inside and closes the card. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these front 2 pieces and this notch, and then we're just adding them to the front of a regular card base. So grab your paper trimmer, and we're going to go ahead and trim this side off. Let's see, so this is sitting at about 2 inches. And then we're going to go ahead and trim off this side. And I'm going to just trim it a little bit shy of this crease. My paper cutter doesn't cut very well on creases. And so that's going to sit at about 3 3/4 inches. And then I am going to go ahead and trim off this notch. And the way I'm going to do that is just by lining it up with my cut line and then putting down my blade and just trimming that. Okay, so I have a nice square now, or rectangle, that is 3 3/4 by about 4 1/4. And so I do want to trim that down, and I'm just going to take it to 4 1/8 so I can have a slight border around my card. And do the same with the other piece. Just cut it at 4 1/8. So I've got those 2 pieces. Then another piece that comes from the kit is the envelopes. Now, yesterday I posted an alternative video that uses the striped side of the envelope. And today I wanted to use this beautiful soft green color. And so we're taking that from this back side. So we're gonna go ahead and trim the envelope. And I'm going to just take off 1/8 of an inch on one side. And then 1/8 of an inch on the other side. So that should sit at about 4 1/4. And then 1/8 of an inch off the bottom. Okay, so then if you were going to use this piece for my cards I made yesterday, you would just trim this to 5 1/2 inches. But today we're going to use this solid piece, and we're going to use it at 1/2 inch. So just line up the bottom, nice straight line at 1/2 inch, and then cut it. And then we're going to trim off the ends so that we have a piece that's 4 1/4 inches long. So let's start on this side and remove that piece that we don't want on our card. And then line it up to be 4 1/4 and remove that angle. So we have that piece, and then this flower comes from the kit, as well as the word celebrate and the sequins. And then we're also adding some rose metallic thread. So it looks like we have all the pieces we need to go ahead and put this card together. So grab a Whisper White card base and fold it in half. So this is just a 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches and scored at 4 1/4. And I'm just going to use a bone folder to press that crease down. Then we're going to start by adding the striped piece to the bottom of our card base. And I'm going to have that little hole for the insert at the top. And then I might be able to cover that up with some of the other elements. So that's at the top. And then we're going, or the bottom, excuse me. And then we're going to add this piece to the top. And we want to just make sure that they line up and meet on the edges of the card. So that side does get, so this bottom piece is overlapping, or the top piece is overlapping the bottom piece. So there we go. Then we're going to add that green, light green from our envelope, and we'll just put it over that seam. Okay, so next we're going to take the flower from the kit, get some adhesive on the back, and then you're going to take some metallic thread. And this rose color just looks so pretty with these colors in the kit. So wrap it around your hand 4 or 5 times and then lay it down, and you can kind of make it a little bigger so that you can see it behind this flower. Just let it open it up a little bit. And then press your flower down on top, and then you can take those ends and just tuck those in. Like that. So now we're going to apply this with some dimensionals to our card. I always like to put the dimensionals over some of that thread just to kind of hold everything down. And the dimensionals did come in the kit. And then go ahead and place this at a slight angle so you have that one leaf coming down over the green, and then the 2 leaves are above the green. And that just gives you a nice space for the word celebrate. You can kind of fluff out that metallic thread a little bit. And then in the kit, there's this gorgeous celebrate. Here it is. I love that it's printed on foam, so it's a little bit maneuverable. So if you were to mail it, it wouldn't get broken. And then it's got this gorgeous rose metallic writing on it. So pretty. And you're just going to attach this to the base of the green. And you're just kind of covering up that bottom edge. And then last, we're going to take some glue dots and we're going to add some sequins. And I've just got 3 sequins. I'm going to place 1 down here and then 2 on top around the flower. Then remove the paper. And then the sequins, there were a ton in this kit that come in this little bag. And so you can just go ahead and use those. Just need a couple. And then you pick them up with your pickup tool so that you can place them down really easily. There we go. So that card came together really quickly. And I love that it's very similar to the original design that you can see here. It has the same kind of feeling, but we were able to remove some of those elements and the back of the card so that we can create a second card. Don't miss out on next month's paper pumpkin kit. In the March 2020 kit, there will be an extra stamp set for free to celebrate 7 years of Paper Pumpkin. Make sure to subscribe by March 10th using the link in the description box below. So let's go ahead and start that second card. So this one uses the back side of the original card base, and so we need to cut this down, and we're just going to cut it to 4 1/8. So let's do that. That's 4 inches and 1/8, and then 5 inches and 3/8. And just make sure that when you cut that 5, that you're removing the seam, that crease from the front to the back. We don't want that on our card. Okay, so we've got that piece. So the next piece we need is this light green color, and we're using the back side of the envelope again, and we need a 2" by 4.5" piece. So let's go ahead and first cut 2 inches. And then remove that bottom piece. We don't want that. And then we can get 4 inches. Great. Or 4.5, excuse me, right? Yes, 4.5 inches. Okay, so we've got that piece, and we'll do our stamping in just a minute. And then we have this circle scallop piece, and that comes from the blue card. So let me show you that blue card. So right here, this piece comes in the kit, and there's the insert right here where this hole is that's scalloped. This is the insert that goes there. And so you would probably throw this away, but we can flip it around and use it for this card as kind of a grounding element for the flower. So that's where that piece comes from. And then we've got one of the labels from the kit. We're going to add that as well. And then we just need to stamp the flower on a regular piece of white cardstock. So we've got about a 3" wide piece of cardstock for the flower and just some extra length there as well. So let's go ahead and do our stamping. Let's start with the flower. So I've got my paper piercing mat, and I like to use that whenever I'm using photopolymer images because it gives me a crisper image. And I've got my black Memento ink and my flower. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up and stamp that down. Okay, and then we're also going to be stamping birthday wishes with the black ink. And so I've got those 2 words on here, and this does come from the stamp set that is in the kit. Let me show you that. So here's the stamp set. So we're using the flower, birthday wishes, and then the congratulate, or not the congratulate, the celebrate comes from the happy birthday to you, which is a celebration stamp set. So you can get this stamp set for free with a qualifying purchase. And more information on celebration is in the description below, and there's a link to go to the online store. So we're using that word celebrate. And I love how these flowers coordinate together, as well as the greetings and the text. So that's really fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and stamp birthday wishes. And we're stamping these. We're going to start with wishes, and we're going to stamp it all the way to the right in the center. And then we're going to do birthday next. There we go. So I didn't quite get them in the center, but that's okay. I'm not perfect. And I think it still looked fine. They're kind of on the same line anyway. So we've got those 2 things. So let's go ahead and open up some of our other colors we're using. So I'm using Rich Razzleberry, Petal Pink, and Old Olive. And I'm going to be using some sponge daubers to add color to my flower. I wanted it to have a similar feeling to this original flower in the kit. And so we're going to be creating kind of a soft image. So take a sponge dauber and your rich razzleberry, and you're going to get some ink on that sponge dauber, and then you can either daub it on or rub it in circles, whatever you like. It's going to be soft, and it also will probably bleed out into some of those other areas. So don't worry about it if it comes outside those lines. Just kind of work it in. So you can see that I did get some in that green space where the leaves should be. Okay, let's go ahead and do the petal pink next. And I added petal pink to these little berries and to the center of the flower. And this is such a soft color that I'm trying to add a little more ink so that it kind of stands out. All right, next we've got the old olive, and we're going to add this to the leaves. So you can use like the edges to try to get close to that flower without really coming into the purple. There we go. So I'm just kind of rubbing the edge of my sponge dauber along the leaf that's close to the flower to try and keep that color in the leaf, and then blending that out a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave my old olive open. So we've got our flower done, and we're going to fussy cut that in a minute. Now we're going to add the word celebrate, and I've got some scrap paper to work on. And get your word celebrate. Okay, so this word is just a rubber stamp, so we're not going to be able to see exactly where we place it. So just kind of get an idea if you need to practice stamping, you know, off to make sure that it's lined up the way you think it should be, so that you can kind of get an idea of how that stamp stamps, because we're going to be stamping it down your 2-inch strip. So I wanted to start off my page a little bit, so it looks like it is part of a bigger piece of paper. And then I decided to just kind of stamp it evenly down, so there's just a slight gap between each word. And I'm also doing it so that it's about centered between the two sides. So that kind of helps me keep it even as we're working down the strip. If you want this to be at like more random, you could do it at different heights and different areas so that it creates more of a random feeling if that's what you like. Okay, so we've done all our stamping, and so now we're going to do some sponging. And so because I used that sponging technique for the flower, I thought it would be nice to add it a similar feeling between all the elements. So let's go ahead and start with the green, and we're just going to add sponging along the edges. So grab your sponge dauber, and what you do is you just run it along that edge just to give the edges kind of a darker feeling. So this technique is not as popular right now as it used to be a couple years ago, but it still really produces beautiful pieces, and it can really add that extra element to your card. So we've got the green. We're also going to add Rococo Rose to our background. So I've got my ink pad and a sponge dauber of Rococo Rose. We're going to add that to the card stock. Just in the same way, we're just rubbing it along that edge. And you can see that for this one, because the color is really similar, you don't see it as much, but it does give just a little darker edge that can be kind of fun. Okay, so there's the Rococo Rose. And then we're going to do one more element, and it is our Scallop, and we're doing that with the Petal Pink. And we just want to tap it right along that edge. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and fussy cut the flower. Okay, so we have all our elements. We can go ahead and start to adhere them together. So you've got your card base again. It's just a Whisper White and my bone folder. Then go ahead and add the Rococo Rose to your card base. And there is going to be a slight border of white around your card base. Next, another element I haven't talked about yet is the scallop. And this scallop comes from this card here. And I think it was on Wednesday, I posted a video where we used this card, but we cut off those scallops and then we used some of them on another card. So I did have some laying around and I thought they were beautiful and wanted to use them on this card as well. So we're gonna go ahead and add those to the back of our green card. And they were at we had different lengths. And so this one was the shorter one and this one's the longer one. And so you can use either one. I think they both look good. This one fits perfectly. It's 4.5 inches. And so we're just gonna go ahead and add that to the back. And I decided not to sponge it because it's kind of just a smaller element. And then let's add some more adhesive. And then place that on our card, and that's going to the left, kind of creating a similar spacing from the top and bottom and on the left side. Next, we're going to add this circle scallop, or the scallop circle, probably is how I should say that, and that's going to kind of go center. So we're centering it from top to bottom, and then its center is going to line up with the right side of that green paper. So about there. And then the bottom, we're going to add the birthday wishes. Okay, so that's going to kind of go almost all the way to the right. And we're going to cover up some of that bottom of the circle. Let's go ahead and move it all the way to the right. There. Okay. And then before we add our flower, we are going to add some more rose metallic thread. And we're just going to do kind of the same thing. We're going to wrap it around our hand. And you're going to want to kind of make it a little bigger. So I'm opening up my hand a little bit. We're going to do about 5 times. And then you can either cut that or tear it. And then you're going to try to find the middle and wrap it. So you're creating kind of a bow shape and then lay that down so that it's coming out of the sides, kind of like that. That needs a dimensional to hold that down. So I'm just going to hold that with my finger, grab a dimensional, and stick that in the middle. Okay, and then before I stick everything down, I just want to make sure it's the way I want it to look, which it looks pretty good. So then add a couple more dimensionals. And then go ahead and add this to your card. And what you're looking for is just, you want it to kind of overlap your label a little bit because we do have that space for it. And then we definitely want it to kind of come into the circle because that's kind of the grounding element. You know, I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Actually, not up. I'm going to bring it to the left. Is that what I wanted? I think so. Yeah, we'll just bring it to the left. Okay. Yeah, right about there. Okay, so I brought that to the left slightly just so I can see a little bit of that gold from the finished square on the left. I like that element instead of covering it up with the leaf. Okay, so that card is almost done. We just need to add the sequins. So grab those glue dots again, and we're just going to place 3 sequins, and they can kind of go anywhere you want around your elements. I'm going to put 2 up there on the top and then maybe 1 down here under the flower. And remove the paper. And we need a couple more sequins. So this sequin pack is really fun. It has 3 different sizes, and so you can really choose which ones you want to use because it came with a lot. So there we go. So that card is finished. So I love how these 2 cards are similar and how this card inspired this card and all the beautiful colors in it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, and share. Visit creativechelsea.com for more information about Paper Pumpkin and to start getting your monthly kit. Have a creative day. Bye.